it's Dr. Lacey C. Robbins of Robbins Nest Consulting, and I'm really excited to be able to share with you today 6 tips that you can use when it comes to leading your team digitally. Now, like so many, this is brand new, nothing we're accustomed to. We're all trying to figure it out, but these are 6 tips that I use when it comes to working and with leading with my teams that I think you will find beneficial as well. So be sure to let me know down in the comments after I share these 6, perhaps you have something you'd like to add. So number 1 will be default to video. Well, why video over just solely using a conference call line? Well, first and foremost, while it's not always the most comfortable thing to be able to be, on video, just the more eyeball to eyeball contact that you can have with your team, the more that it feels increasingly valuable, and the more that they'll feel as though they're having that bottom line person-to-person interaction, and really being able to make that human connection. Now, as you know, if you're watching this video, like most of us, we are now working from home, or we're, shelter in place, however the term that your state might be using. Safer at home is what they're calling it here in Wisconsin. But I realize that for a lot of people, this could feel new, it can feel uncomfortable, and you're just simply trying to figure it out. Well, if we haven't met before, I'm Dr. Lacey C. Robbins of Robbins Nest Consulting, founder of the Everyday Business Conference, consultant to small and mid-sized businesses, and coach to women who are ready to use their knowledge, background, and expertise to build a platform and make more money. And these 6 tips on today are strategies that I'm currently using with my team right now as we are working through this pandemic together. So keep in mind, starting with number 1, to use default video automatically as the go-to meeting option because by doing so, your team is going to feel more connected. And right now, especially if you have some people who might be single that live at home alone, that feeling of connection is something they may be really seeking, and this is a safe way to be able to do that. Number 2 is, because we are humans, sometimes conflict will arise. And typically you're doing a lot of back and forth emails, a lot of texting might be happening using other resources like a Slack or something to that extent, and or WhatsApp. And because, again, we are humans, you might find yourself in a situation where you just simply need to pick up the phone. So we all have found ourselves on the opposite side when you receive that email and the tone isn't quite what you anticipated. And so sometimes it can feel a bit tenuous unnecessarily. So rather than trying to solve the situation by phone, knowing that we're all humans working together, by email, pick up the phone and work to solve the situation face to face, or over the phone, human to human, so that really one, just having that human connection can get lost via emails, via text, or even any other written communication. And then you couple that with the fact that you might be in a conflict with a colleague, that could just make the situation even worse for a time that's already pretty stressful. And so it's easy to, mock the situation and even shut down when it's behind a screen. But if you're actually on the phone with someone, or even in a video conference with someone, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to do so. Here is number 3, and this right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is a ninja move, which is creating a strong workflow. Now, because everyone is at home, there is the expectation that people will be more accessible because you are, working remotely. But keep in mind, different people and the workflow of their household may flow a little bit differently. So with my team, we specifically set 2 days a week for team meetings. So every Tuesday and Thursday, it's our time to come together as a team on a video conference so that we can connect with one another, and being able to bring any sort of questions that you might have, ways that we can support one another, problems that you're figuring out, any updates from a previous meeting, all while keeping the situation moving, keeping the organization moving forward. Now, keep in mind, when you're in the office, this kind of replaces those meetings that, the drive-bys that someone might make when they're stopping by your office. Can I pop in and ask you a question really quickly? It totally replaces all of that. you really want to, if you can, train your team to hold on to those items for your Tuesday, Thursday meeting, or whatever day of the week that you might select. Why? Because it's actually going to help you to get more done. And instead of having to, have the quick text messages back and forth, or the long drawn out text conversations back and forth, you can reserve for that meeting that's going to take place on that Tuesday or Thursday. And sometimes the question may actually answer itself because of other conversations that might have been happening. Now, keep in mind something that might be urgent. Obviously you're not going to ignore those things. You may still actually pick up the phone and call someone, or even still shoot them a short text message. But on the reverse, this is part of the reason why you are setting everything in motion to reserve it for those Tuesday, Thursday meetings, so people can be prepared and wanting to go forward and have their items in their list or their agenda all in place. This also helps to break down the system a little bit further, because if I already know that, this question really isn't that urgent, because it can wait till Tuesday or Thursday. And so that actually will help your overall team's workflow as well. This is part of the reason why we want to do that. This is number 4, which is really thinking about powering in. So we know that the research tells us for every interruption, it takes about 25 minutes for your brain to reset and get back into the place where you were formerly working. So if you are responding to text messages, receiving Slack messages, WhatsApp messages, getting the emails, getting the phone calls, every single time you're having to reset your brain, and that's going to take about 25 minutes. And so, because that is the case, that's not even counting the interruptions that you might receive just by being in your home alone. You really want to be able to compensate for that. And by doing so, you want to be able to silence all of these external devices. Really give yourself that time. Think back to the Pomodoro method. If you've never seen me talk about the Pomodoro method and ways to increase your productivity, I'll make sure to link an additional video to that somewhere here, or down in the notes of this video. But I want you to keep in mind that this can really help you as well with being as productive as possible. Now, of course, if you can, you want to also eliminate distractions like the social media distractions, or, the other things that are happening, because again, we all know that, everyone's working from home these days. And so your schedule and your timing may not be the same as someone else. This is yet another reason why this leads to number 5. You want to also have a plan for your family, for your kids, for your spouse, if you happen to be working at home. Now, in the Robin's Nest, I am the early bird. My husband is the night owl. And so for me, I typically get up earlier than him. I can bang out, I can get my workout in, I can get my practice in, and then I can also bang out a couple of hours worth of work before he really gets up and gets moving around. That's what works for our household. Now, in your household, you might both be night owls or both be, early birds, but you have to figure out what can work for your household. Especially, I know a lot of families right now are also homeschooling in addition to still being expected to work day in and day out. If this is you and you are supposed to be doing both, you still want to be able to coordinate some sort of schedule. So for example, you might be a stay-at-home parent, a single parent. You may take that conference call when your child is napping, or, early in the morning when there's still a little bit of a bedhead, right? Rather than in the afternoon when they're wired and ready for the day and wanting to maybe get out and explore and have some fun, right? Or even just play one-on-one with mom or dad. So if that happens to be the case, you want to also plan accordingly. So even if it means, like, for example, closing the door, putting a small sign in the door, letting the family know in advance, hey guys, I'm hopping on a conference call, just so that they know to try to avoid any interruptions. But whatever you choose to do, you want to be able to create a plan for your family, including pets, before you hop on that call and before you get moving. And then last but not least, and this is maybe the jewel in the crown, is don't fight your energy. If your energy is lagging, because it's inevitable, especially if you're not used to working from home. You don't have that engagement with other people. You want to give yourself permission. Get up, go for a walk, grab a cup of coffee, maybe even take a nap, or you may even decide, like, you know what, I've had enough for today and I'm done. Unlike when it comes to working in the office, you aren't typically going to need the total 8 hours to get all of your work done. Why? Because you don't have those 11 different interruptions coming your way, which is, according to the New York Times, just how often people are interrupted when working in the office. 11 times a day. So couple that 11 times with the 25 minutes that it takes for you to recover your brain just to get back busy again. That's a lot of time that's been lost that you're actually now able to recoup because you're working from home. I know I happen to work from home a couple times a week before all of this happened, and I always found that I get more done working remotely than working in the office, solely because I'm not dealing with so many interruptions. So let me know, what have you tried? Have you tried any of these? Have these worked for you? Leave a comment down below and let me know if there's something else that I should add to the list. And I'm so excited that you would take the time to invest in yourself and join me on this live today. And as I always say, from process to practice, grab your stilettos and let's go. Stay safe, everyone, and I'll see you again soon.